Hey everyone, this is Jack Bourne, founder of Deadline Funnel, and I'm with a very, very talented Deadline Funnel client, Claire Pelletreau, and she is here to talk about her wisdom and experience with Facebook ads, Instagram ads, and how you can generate leads profitably. That's the key, how to do it profitably. And to, one of my favorite topics is how we can do this 24/7, 365. So Claire, great to have you here.
Thank you so much, Jack. I've just been such a big fan of your work for so long. So this is a real treat for me. Thank you for the invite.
Absolutely. So, obviously Facebook and Instagram ads is one of those places where if we could just figure out how to make it work for us, it's a huge wellspring of traffic. Like that's where a lot of our audience is hanging out. But one of the things that I've noticed is that, as with all ad platforms over the years, the costs are rise, and it feels like it gets more and more complicated. So, for someone who is either tried it before and they've gotten their nose kind of busted and they've gotten beat up a little bit, their pockets have been emptied out, or someone who's just starting to jump into it. What would be your starting advice in order for someone to make sure that they can make Facebook and Instagram ads work for them?
Well, the first thing I'll say is that you just don't know if Facebook and Instagram ads will work for you. I think that Facebook ads, Instagram ads, basically any kind of paid traffic, I actually say that it's like Viagra. It will give you a boost, but if you're not good in bed, it's not going to change that. So if your business is already converting, if you have like product market fit, if you've really validated your offers and you know how to get people to give you money, like the people who find you organically, that's a really good sign. Facebook and Instagram ad traffic, the people who come to your site or to your podcast or whatever you're promoting with ads, they are going to always behave differently. So it does take a lot more to actually convert them. Gone are the days where, it was easy to put $1 in and make $5 back. So I think the most important thing is expectations. Some people launch their first campaign and they just like hit the nail on the head right away. Other people, and I would say probably most people, they struggle with Facebook's interface, the ads manager. They struggle with knowing like what's the right thing to promote or, what's the right objective or audience. And so I think after just having like pretty low expectations and understanding that you are going to have to do this a lot of times in order to get it right, then just understanding that if you don't get it right, there's nothing wrong with you. It's not that you're bad at something or that you're bad at business. It's that it's not a very intuitive tool. It feels scary to put money like into something, instead of like, if you're just working with organic stuff, you're like posting on social or, you're getting on other people's podcasts, things like that. While that is a use of your time, it's not just like saying bye-bye to the money, right? So it's the stakes feel so much higher with ads. So I think those are the most important things is one, go in with low expectations, understand that you are going to pay to get data, pay to figure out like what things in your business are actually on point and what needs a lot of work. And then try not to freak out as you go through the process and say, oh no, I can't possibly do it, because everyone I know who says, no, I'm just not somebody who can do that kind of work, they've all mastered something else that's like way hard for me. So it's just a question of practice.
Okay. Let's talk about budget. Is there a certain in expectations along those lines? Is there a minimum budget that you would say someone needs to be able to bring to the table and be ready to spend for several months, possibly before, in order to be able to tweak things and buy that data to finally tip things in their favor?
Yeah, great question. So since we're talking to Deadline Funnel users, I assume, or people interested in building funnels, then, my guess is that the people watching, they have some kind of funnel. They have some kind of way that says like, hey, I have this offer. Here's how you can give me money. So what I like to tell people is I want to see 400 people through somebody's funnel before you make any ad subscribers through somebody's funnel before you make any decisions about whether or not the ads are good or the funnel is good, because you need to actually have statistically significant data in order to see, like, what is your conversion rate in this funnel with cold traffic? What is your cost per acquisition? Because if you spend, like I see this all the time, somebody has a course for $1,500 and they put $500 into ads and they don't get a conversion. They don't know what their cost per acquisition is because they didn't get any acquisitions. And they don't know they don't know what their conversion rate is. So they don't know how many subscribers they need. 400 subscribers through a funnel, if you don't get any conversions, okay, then there's definitely work that has to happen. So to answer your question about budget, it depends on what your cost per conversion is. I have clients who are able to get $1.50, $2 conversions. They promote stuff that helps with newborn baby sleep, right? As an ads expert, my cost per conversion could be anywhere between, like, if I've got a PDF, it might be $5, but a webinar will cost me $15 to get somebody to sign up for. Mm-hmm. So that's going to cost a lot more. $15 a subscriber to get 400 is a much bigger budget than if, we're getting $2 leads. And then does that mean that you should give up after that initial investment? No, you've got data, but then you're going to have to do it again. So that might sound like, oh shit, I have to have, $10,000 to spend on ads. Not necessarily. But if you are testing an ad funnel, you are going to have to put the money in order to get data, make tweaks, get more data, repeat.
Yeah, really good to know. And I think, I know you were just throwing out an example number, but I think even that example number on, say, a webinar registration, I know a lot of our clients use webinars. And so if you think through the conversion rates of a typical webinar and the show up rates, you can start to work your way towards, okay, what is the price point at which I'm selling something? Probably selling a $50 course on a webinar probably is not going to work based on those metrics. So that's really, really useful to know. What can you share with us with regards to what you're seeing as the big leverage points that really that really take an ad that's almost working to one that's actually scalable? Is it the headline, the image, the copy in the ad, the offer? Is it all of those things? Like where do you typically focus for getting the biggest return on time?
Yeah. So it may just be like the clients that I work with, but I don't really see copy or images making that big of a difference, right? Because if you have a $14 cost per webinar registration, no copy is really going to bring that down to $3, right? It's just, that's too big of a jump. The reason for a high cost per registration is usually about competition and click-through rate. So you might be able to improve the click-through rate a little bit with the creative. And I personally think that's more in copy than images, although the image has to stop people and get their attention first. But I honestly think it actually comes down to offer. I think it comes down to how compelling everything after the ad is. So that's the sign-up page. A lot of people do not spend any time optimizing their sign-up page for your webinar, for your, lead magnet. They don't realize that they could be getting, twice as many. Well, that's a jump, but like increase the number of leads they get for the same amount of money just by tweaking that sign-up page. But it's like, I think gone are the days when we can just say like, oh, it's a simple funnel. It's got to be about you, the person making the offer. It has to be about the person watching and how you connect with them. And so I think it's like, there are a lot of important touch points that are mostly after the ad, right? So the actual webinar, the emails, maybe follow-ups in the DMs or things like that, opportunities to get questions answered that make a much bigger difference in a funnel than in the actual ad.
So you mentioned that a lot of people don't spend enough time on that registration page, and I know by talking about this registration page, maybe we could include opt-in pages as well for like a lead magnet. Are there certain areas of that either registration page or opt-in page which are the high leverage points that you think people should focus on?
Yeah, headline and bullet points. Like
Yeah.
I find a lot of time headlines are just kind of boring, or they say like what the thing is instead of the problem that it solves, or the talking about the pain point. Um, One of my favorite headlines ever written, and I worked for Laura Roeder back when before she launched Meet Edgar. And so she was an info product business. And the headline on this, lead magnet page was all day on Facebook with nothing to show for it. It just like hit you in the gut because that is what so many early stage entrepreneurs are doing. And so like just that headline really pulling you in, and then the bullet points about not just, again, like not this is a 15-page PDF or things like that, but making it really like piquing the curiosity of the person who's viewing the page to see like, oh God, well, I have to sign up for this. I am dying to know like that one thing that I'll be able to do that's going to increase the registrations on my sign up page. And it's only going to take me 5 minutes to implement, like these really specific and yet mysterious things.
Yeah. Yeah. I really, you touched on one of my favorite copy leverage points, which is writing bullets. And I'm not saying that I'm the world's best at writing bullets, but, bullets like, what to never eat on an airplane. I mean, you almost have to, you have to dive in and read that. And so I think there's both a science and an art to writing super compelling bullets. And when you get good at that, I mean, they're sort of like mini headlines. And so being able to write those bullets, you can use them on your landing pages, on your registration pages, and your emails. Do you have any certain, since we have this shared love of bullets and awesome copy, are there any templates or formulas that are kind of go-tos for you?
Yes. But I have them all. Like I have a template that I give my students, I give away for free. I don't even know the URL for that, but it's, I think it's actually brilliant it's a template for ad copy, but it could absolutely be used for your registration page as well. And it really does always come down to just that, like being mysterious, but super specific. I think that's also a huge problem with copy in general, is that it is too vague, or it's like what we believe that people are looking for, like clarity or feeling abundant, like those things don't mean anything. And yet I see them all the time. But when just like using really, really, really specific examples of what people want or the struggles that they're having, that's really just what I go to all the time. How can I, like, what are the specific examples I can use?
Talk to me about video. Do you use video a lot with your Instagram and Facebook ads, or is it mostly images and text?
I haven't used video really for myself since it was kind of first introduced, because that's when I could get a better cost per sign up with video. I didn't see any change in like quote unquote quality of subscribers. But I have worked on campaigns for like some really big name personal brands, and their videos, it was really funny. They would make incredibly high quality videos, and they would perform as well as their beautifully photographed photos. And sometimes their selfie photos, like always their selfie story videos, we call them her backyard selfies, they always perform best. So it's like the more polished something looks, sometimes the worse it can perform. But yeah, a lot of times we didn't see a change, and it was like, you're spending a lot of time and money shooting these videos and it's not really getting any kind of ROI. Now that's different from, the organic stuff like Reels or TikTok or whatever, all that jazz. But in terms of the ad, still to this day, my best performing ones for my own business are static images.
So I know, regardless of what platform, whether it's Google, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, one of the challenges that we face, or I think all of us face this, is that we get an idea for an ad, and then when we try to come up with something really unique and different to test against it, we're kind of coming up with something that's pretty adjacent to what we do. It's hard to come up with like these truly unique ideas where we're getting data, or we're getting a clear signal that either yes, that worked, or yes, or no, that didn't. Can you give us some ideas about some ad formats or some ideas? Like you mentioned the selfie video. Is there any, are there some other ideas that you could throw at us that would give us sort of a grab bag to at least try, so that we're not really testing 20 different variations of the same thing? We're testing very, very different ad ideas.
Yeah. Well, first off, I don't recommend testing that many things at once, like 2 images or 2, let's say 2 visual pieces of creative. So maybe an image versus a video, or 2 different images versus 2 different sets of copy. And what I always like to do is a piece of copy that talks about, I mean, it could really talk about the problem or talk about the outcome of the transformation, but the other one is just a straight up story. So it is either or a third person, not talking so much you, right? Sometimes sometimes Facebook is going to ding you for like using you too much. You never know when it's going to happen. So I always tell people, try it. Just, talk to the person the way you do in regular copy. But then the other one is some kind of story. And again, getting super, super specific about how that person was feeling, what they were going through, what they had to do in order to change things. I find that like most people aren't doing that enough. It's pretty simple. And I feel like I hear all the time, Jack, about the importance of stories, and yet I don't see them in ads very often. So that's the one thing that I tell people. And also, I think we have a tendency when we write ads to like err on the side of generic a little. It is weird to like put yourself out there and know that you're going to be in people's feeds and they didn't, follow you, things like that. So we like tone it down. I'm all about like turning it up. Right now, I am writing some ad copy that starts with who the ad is not for, because all of the ads so far say like attention coaches and course creators. Totally. My ads have said that. Absolutely. But I just want to like really, really change things up, because there is true ad fatigue. I mean, it's not just the competition, although that's driving costs up, but people are just like boring. I know this is an ad. I'm not even going to look at it. So yeah, you have to work hard to get somebody's attention. And I think the best way to do that, or at least something to try against maybe a safer version, is something completely unlikely to work, if you will.
Yeah, can you go a little bit deeper and give an example, either the real example or kind of just a made up example of what an ad might look like if we weren't saying, hey, attention coaches and consultants? Like, what would be the opposite and saying like, hey, this isn't for you?
I'm literally just getting that on paper, but this one is going to say, and so if somebody, takes this, please give me credit in your mind. I don't care. But like my offer is not for beginner business owners, and that is who clicks on ads the most. So that also can impact, like, depending on what your offer is. If it's great for early stage business owners, your ads are just almost definitely going to perform better. So it's just going to say like, this ad is not for people who, and then boom, 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 like, just trying to get their coaching clients, starting a brand new offer, just like all the things that we actually see people who are bad fits, wrong fits for the offer. And then we're going to just have to transition. And to be honest, I don't know what that transition is going to look like yet. But I will tell you that I just launched one of my own ads, because I find, for me, the best bang for my buck is ads that promote my podcast. And I have one ad going on right now that has been beating out all the other tests we run. It's to a podcast. It's to an episode with a guest who had a $400,000 year with 2 toddlers at home during the height of COVID. That headline has beat out all the other headlines, right? So, but I wanted to try something very different, because one of my episodes, it's a solo episode, has been like beloved by my listeners. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to try this with new people. And so it's just a photo of me. It's an audiogram, and the text. I mean, I don't think we've seen anything like this before, where I literally say, here's how much I made last year. these were my expenses and this is what I paid myself in an ad, right? Like everybody splashes numbers around, but we get like really in depth about how much people pay themselves and expenses and stuff on my podcast. So I'm just literally trying to grab attention with that by being very different from what you normally see.
Yeah, that's really, really interesting. So like the takeaway for me that I'm hearing from you is you it's not just ad fatigue from competition, but we really have to stand out because people are just getting banner blindness, and they're getting a lot better at being able to determine what's content versus what's an ad. And you've really got to, be a lot more creative with what you're trying. Are there any other tips or strategies that you want to share?
Yeah, well, just to talk about audiences, because we haven't really touched on that. And I think that tends to be where people really get tripped up. And thank you, Apple, for your iOS update last year, that now Facebook ads are just a little harder in general. And lookalike audiences, which was like, I would upload maybe a CSV file of all my purchasers, people who had given me money in the past. And I say, Facebook, make this into a custom audience. And they say, okay. And then they ask, do you want to make a lookalike audience after this or out of this? And I say, sure. And it would then find other people who were similar. How? We don't really know. But those audiences were just killing it for many years. And it seemed like they were even getting better. Like Facebook was really focusing on them, and they were just performing. And since the update it hit everybody at kind of different times, but my lookalike audiences stopped performing well over the summer in 2021. So now if I use lookalike audiences, they are based on like in-app custom audiences. So people who have engaged with your Facebook page, people who have clicked on your Instagram profile. And I always make sure that my clients, especially people who have run ads in the past, took a break and are now back, they don't quite know about the lookalike audience update thing. So we just make sure that they're trying interest-based audiences as well.
Okay. What about audience size? I've heard different opinions about how big you should make your audiences when you're putting them together. So do you have a guide on what works best for you and your clients?
I mean, it really depends on somebody's budget. I'm going to say as a baseline, like, let's go for $1 million or above. If you are a local business, you may not be able to do that at all. And that's okay. That doesn't mean you shouldn't try. But yeah, that's another big change where it used to just be small audiences were great. Specific audiences were great, but Facebook likes a lot of room to move and like find the right people for you. And the more constraints you put on them, like let's say people who are new moms and they have a master's degree and they are interested in Peloton, like it's going to drive your costs up so high that even if they might be the right people, it will cost you a lot more to get to them than if you had a broader audience.
Well, this has really been fascinating. Before we go, is there anything else that you want to share? Any final thoughts?
No, I mean, I would say for anyone who has a podcast, like start there. Just start with episodes that people have loved, that maybe you get a lot of organic traffic to, like if you're paying attention to that in Google Analytics or something like that. But otherwise, I would say if you're starting out, I typically recommend, if you don't have a podcast, I recommend list building ads. So some kind of ad to a freebie, to a webinar, and then don't just expect the money to come in. Like if you're dealing with new Facebook ad traffic, watch the metrics, maybe reach out to people individually. That's what I did when I first started my business. Anyone who got on my list, I just reached out to them, and start conversations. Because unless you have like a formal funnel built where there is an offer and a deadline, and a wonderful timer, thanks to Deadline Funnel, you may not necessarily get sales right away, but that doesn't mean that these are quote unquote poor quality subscribers. I kind of hate that when people are like, oh, well, ads don't work. I just got like bad subscribers. Maybe you just don't know how to convert them. That's kind of how I feel.
So Claire, how can people find you? And do you have any resources, any free resources that you want to offer?
Yeah. If you go to clairepels.com, you'll find, like, if you just kind of click around there, we do have a lot of free resources, one about audience copy. What was another one? I just sort of had like an overall overview of Facebook ads in a masterclass. That's at clairepels.com/5 ads if you want to go there. People say that kind of really helps clarify a lot the different types of ads and what they should be paying attention to when they start. And then also I have a podcast called the Get Paid Podcast where I ask extremely nosy questions, and people really love that kind of transparency.
And tell me about your work with clients. Like, who's your ideal client that you like to work with?
Yeah. So right now, like I have a group program where we primarily help people who have some kind of course or group coaching program. Some people work with one-on-one clients. And we are just helping to get them leads and then actually track the effectiveness of those marketing strategies. So it's not all Facebook and Instagram ads. Some people are definitely putting, most of their eggs in that basket. We just want to make sure that all the tracking is in place so we actually know what the ROI is. That used to be a lot easier with Facebook than it is now. So, but plenty of people are looking to shake it up a little because they were getting all their leads from Facebook ads before, and now it's a lot more expensive. So we're just helping them come up with plans to diversify.
Awesome. Well, this has been great, Claire. Thank you so much for sharing your experience and wisdom about Facebook and Instagram.
My pleasure, Jack.
See you.